YouTube. So, we are here on Friday the 11th of April at 5:20, and the reason I am up so early is because today is the first day of the Empower Challenge of people sending their check-ins. They've been on plan for over a week. They're sending their check-ins to be able to get a reply from us so that they can step forwards leading into their 12 weeks worth of the programme, whether that be they're getting lean or getting strong, etc. It's all based upon what they wanted, but today is the first day. I always like to make sure that my clients get a reply early, my normal competition / lifestyle clients, and the Empower is no different to that. So we're going to start the check-ins in a moment. I usually get up about 5:30 and usually go to bed about 8:30. Yep, I am a grandma, but that's how I've set up my day and my routine so that I can function and be productive, because I find that I am most productive in the morning. I do find that for most people, and I do find that when people do drift over into an earlier sleep and an earlier wake, they do find that they are a little bit more productive. It's why when you are in competition prep that happens, and why you are more productive within that time, unless you're someone who likes to complain about it and say that it makes you feel worse. So, we have got coffee in tow. Not that you can see it. There's 3 shots of coffee in there. Obviously, because I am not competing this year, I am not utilising thyroid medications, as I am not getting close to a competition. I will only use them as I get close to a competition when my blood work says that it needs that support. But if I was using them, I would have them, and only 45 minutes to an hour later would I utilise any caffeine / coffee, because if you use it before that time, it actually makes the medication not as effective. So if you do that and your coach hasn't told you that, that's me telling you. I'm not telling you that you need to get a new coach, but I'm just telling you that's what you need to do. With that said, thyroid medications are not a fat burning supplement. They are there to support your thyroid when it's needed. So don't be utilising them as skittles like a fat burning agent, because all you're doing is harming your thyroid. They should be used if needed only, and in a very small dose, and they should also be tapered off slowly and not used for a very long time afterwards. We could go into the roots of why people utilise a little bit more in the off seasons, especially larger bodybuilders that obviously utilise growth hormone that could see down regulation in T4 if they didn't support with that. However, that's not what we are right now. So I have got my coffee and I'm going to drink it whenever the hell I want, which is going to be the start of when I do these check-ins. So it's going to be great. I've actually got quite a few to get through, so I'm going to get on with it. I will take you along for the ride with some of the check-ins, and then we'll go through an usual day in the life on a Friday. And today is actually a rest day. The last 2 Fridays that you've seen have actually been lower body days, so I'm sure it would be nice for you to see a day that is not quite a leg day. So slightly different day, but still a very productive, well nutritionaled and well organised and routined day. So I thought that I'd take a little bit of a break away from this video just to talk about the ways in which you can work with me. First of all, we have online coaching, both from a competitive perspective to lifestyle. We also have our Empower program, which is the 12-week challenges based upon what your individual goals are, would be depending on whether for the 12 weeks we focus on dieting or potentially growing. And we also have the Excellence program, a program designed to help you further your education when it comes to all things bodybuilding. Please feel free to drop a comment below, DM me on Instagram, or send me an email, which is in my bio on my Instagram, so that we can communicate, talk about getting you set up with your journey with me. Hey, good morning. Thank you for sending over your check-in. So awesome to see that you've transitioned over into the new lifestyle so easily, and that you've actually mentioned that the way in which you've set the plan has been just so easy to be able to fall into place. That is great news. Obviously, in the last couple of weeks since we've started the plan, you've lost over 3 kilograms, which is absolutely fantastic. From the transitions or the transformations that you even sent, we can see that massively through your midsection, we can see that massively in your upper body, and what's nice to see is that real big change in your face as well. So that's absolutely fantastic. If you could do me a favour when you do send your check-ins over, happy for you to send me over the collages of before to after, but I would also like the individual pictures from that day, from that specific check-in day as well, so that I can keep a nice track of those pictures, just the original ones each week, if that is not a problem. I'm glad that the motivation, the information, especially the group chat that we have as a community, is obviously giving you back what you wanted, feeling encouraged, feeling like the structure is actually being really great for you, but not too much that you can't fit everything else around, which is great. I'm glad you're enjoying the foods. Obviously, if you ever do want to change anything, you can. You do have the option on the sheet with our tracking to be able to do that really easily. Or you can always ask me and I can help you with that. Not an issue at all. I'm glad that you saw that it was cooked weights rather than raw weights. Again, that is just easy, and because you are not a competitor, you don't need to go with raw weights, and the cooked weights are much easier. So I'm glad that you're now having the amount of food that you're supposed to be, which is obviously going to give you just that little bit more as well. Great to hear that off the back of the knee issue that it's getting much better. I had created your plan to make sure that we weren't overworking the knee, but we were getting enough strength work through the leg to build up that strength to help the knee get better. Not an issue to do the swimming. You could do that instead of the cardio that we've got set. So yes, you could do it on a rest day, but what I would say, if you are going to do it on a rest day, because it would be quite lengthy, I would likely do it before, or make sure that afterwards you've got that oatmeal, because that will help you recover and probably feel a little bit less tired and a little bit less under recovered from it. So that's what I would do, even if that means you have to change the order of the foods that are on your plan at the minute, and hopefully that makes sense. Glad you're using some blue light blockers pre-bed, using a little bit of melatonin. The dream sleep from Trained by JP is also fantastic, but the best thing that you can do is have a pre-bed routine, even if it's 10 minutes long. Sit down for 10 minutes, do a little bit of reading, make sure that you're in a dark room. That will get your body really ready for bed, and it's not there to trick you, it is literally there to help you get into bed, get to sleep, and actually feel better. When it comes to overloading, training, working to failure, etc., the way in which you'd know that you're learning to train to failure is if you do your swimming or you do a bike and you go as fast as you can until you can't go no more. That is intensity. That's the type of feeling that you want at the end of a set. If you don't get that feeling, you're probably not pushing to failure. When it comes to wanting to do more training, you have to have that rest time between one training session and the other. It's like you mentioned, you'll not recover. If you don't recover, you don't grow. I'm not saying that we need to treat it like a competitor with that, but over time, if we want to do more training, we will. But I just think that right now we can do what we have set, see how the body goes, see how you feel with it, and then see if we want to improve things like going to the gym to just do some cardio and some abs, etc. For now, I would like to keep it where it is. Hey lady, good morning. Thank you very much for sending everything over. Really appreciate it. Obviously, we've had the period this week, which is awesome. We obviously want to make sure that we're functioning really well. What's nice to hear is since actually transitioning into the plan. Hey lady, good morning. Hope you're well. Thank you for sending everything over. You look great, really do. Lost quite a little bit of body weight, which is nice to see since we started. And like you mentioned, you've actually had your period and you've been able to manage your symptoms a little bit better. Usually you have very bad bloating, headaches, obviously see quite a big rise in body weight, and we haven't seen that this time. I do tend to find that ladies do increase around their cycle, but usually when it's a little bit more, it's either because they've been succumbing, so giving up and letting the cravings take over, and probably overeating on foods that potentially aren't the most nutrient dense. Whereas this time, because you have your plan and at least your calories to be able to work upon, because you've probably kept your calorie balance much better throughout the week, your water intake a little bit higher, still trying to keep on top of some cardio, some training, etc., keeping the body moving, even potentially not quite as intense because you weren't feeling your absolute best, you've been able to not see all of those negative symptoms and the actual gain with the body weight. So I think it shows how important giving the fuel to your body is, even around a time when it isn't feeling its best. We don't have to give it lots of chocolate, lots of takeaways, things like that. If we give it a good amount of food, which you have, a really good amount of quality foods and water and an okay amount of expenditure with your exercise, etc., you just feel better. Hey sir, good morning. Thank you for sending everything over. Really appreciate it. So, obviously we are week 10 now into the plan, which is great. You look really fantastic. Body weight has moved really well. Obviously the goal was to get leaner. You're now starting to feel those effects a little bit at work, probably with a little bit less brain function, feeling a little bit lower in energy, etc. So it's definitely time to change direction, get more of a maintenance plan. Even if the body weight goes up ever so slightly, if you stay consistent with it, Lee, you'll still see that your body weight or your look just continues to improve. You can obviously balance with a really lovely off-plan meal, like what we have done a couple of times throughout the plan, and you probably learn now that you can make things like what you did on your birthday with the carrot cake, etc. You can make things taste great even if they are lower calorie, like what we'd made with the MK cookbook for the carrot cake. So that's absolutely awesome with that one as well. And I don't ever want you to say sorry to your your morning team, especially if you're feeling just that little bit tired. It's just time to make that change. So I've created you a meal plan called maintenance meal plan. Obviously we've got another 2 weeks together anyway, so what we'll see in those couple of weeks is if your body weight's pretty much going to stay the same. When it comes to your cardio and stuff like that, what I would do is I would take out your cardio, so your 20 minutes of fasted cardio, and keep your steps where they are because you get a good amount anyway with work. Let's see how the foods, the less expenditure takes us. If you start to see that you're not feeling any better, you need to let me know before the 2 weeks. If you are feeling much better, still pop me a little message next week on Monday, next week on Friday, if that's okay, just so that I know, and if there's anything that I need to do to help and support as we step forwards, I can. Awesome stuff. Well done, you. Right, so it is now 7 o'clock. I've finished all of the feedback for the Empower so that they've got it nice and early. If they need to make changes, they can. Obviously, with them not being competitors, they might not be able to get to changes straight away, which is absolutely fine. Some have changes, some don't. I pretty much had set things pretty well for most of them, that nothing really needed to be adjusted, and they've all been to settle in really well. That's why it's really important to get information from people to understand their life, things that they like with foods, things that they don't like with foods, the goals that they do have, so that a plan can be set up really well, regardless of whether they are just on a 12-week program or whether they're a full-time client, because it's super important that they can then utilize those things that they learn as they go through the rest of their life as well, because it's all about being able to create a sustainable plan that they can continue, learn to understand if they're eating less, that they're obviously dieting, if they're kind of keeping their body weight the same, or sorry, eating at maintenance, that they're keeping their body weight the same, they can still improve their body composition through that. And then if they do want to potentially go through a growing phase on their own in the future, that they can obviously increase those calories too. And we have a meal tracking app on our sheet as well, so that if they do want to swap from, I don't know, they fancy prawns instead of some chicken, they can do that really easily, so that it's just simple for them to be able to do so. And all they simply need to do is, I'm going to show you. This is nobody's sheet, so from a data protection perspective, it's all good. But say someone has chicken here on meal 2 and they fancy having prawns. This is where it goes wrong, isn't it? Prawns, and they want cooked prawns. They know that they need to have 151 grams, very specific. I mean, if they had 150, it'd be fine. Instead of the 100 grams of chicken, they'd be absolutely cushy. That's just the way in which we're making it nice and easy for them to understand. They can obviously use other tracking apps like MyFitnessPal, the Chronometer, etc., so they can learn to understand that as they go, ask questions as they go. But it's just a way for them to understand that they can not starve themselves when they're dieting. They know that they can have variety. They know that they can even macro track in a meal that's away from plan, as long as they choose something that's smart. Yes, at times in your life you'll probably have something that's a little bit more calorific, Christmases, birthdays, etc. That is life, so is life. But it's just to start and help people and educate them on how to eat well, because so many people, especially in the UK, don't understand macros, don't understand nutritional value, and it's just never something that we've ever been taught at school, so we're not going to understand. I wish that they actually did do that at school, but they don't. So that's why people like me are here, to help people understand that a little bit more as we go. Okay, so I have popped the food shopping away, which is great. I'm going to make my meal one, which is 2 eggs, 125 grams of sourdough bread, 225 grams of egg whites, and if I didn't say vegetables, 100 grams of veg and 50 grams of blueberries. Why do I have that? Because I like it. Do I have it every day? Yes. If I wanted something different, would I swap and change to it? Yes, I would. So, a nice and productive morning. Check-ins done, steps done, food shop put away, meal prep done for the bulk cooking for me and Cuba, and also my meals prepared for the day, so that I can literally just do my work, come downstairs, put my food on the plan, or go outside, have a little walk, etc. Put my food on the plan and I'm good to go. That just means that things are nice and easy, and I definitely just chopped my finger. Oh well, it is what it is. Anyway, something that cropped up is that we're going through a thing with the IFBB at the moment, where they're trying to get a little bit involved with the coaching side of things to try and improve that, because obviously they're, without saying it, worried about people's health, probably from a female perspective, maybe people getting a little bit too manly, etc. And they're popping things in place, maybe about like health and blood work and stuff like that. However, what they forget to realise is that regardless of someone's health markers, that doesn't mean that a female hasn't virilized. And what I mean by that is, a female virilizes from assistance in a way of getting more hair growth, deeper voice, looking a little bit more masculine in their face, etc. Does that show on blood work? No. One of the biggest things when it comes to bodybuilding that it does, especially when it comes to the end of a competition prep, regardless of whether you're a natural or assisted person, so essentially they're trying to create a healthier environment. It's not really going to do anything, because you lose your period, especially as a female, if you are low body fat and ready for your competition. It's not a flex to lose your period. It's not a good thing to lose your period. However, that happens if someone is lean enough, especially when it's classes above bikini. Some bikini girls don't have to get that lean, that they don't lose it, and some do, and they do lose it. So that's the one thing that really affects a lot of females, especially post bodybuilding, because sometimes off the back of that they obviously lose the ability to be able to be fertile. They can't have children. It affects their cycles for life, puts them into the early menopause a lot earlier. So that's one thing that I think that they forget to manage in terms of actual health markers. Not that getting the virilization in terms of deeper voice, etc., isn't bad, but it's not one of the biggest things that potentially they need to be focusing upon. And I think that's more of the case of female bodybuilding needs to not get any bigger, so that people aren't using as many PEDs, and potentially bringing some of the classes back to a little bit more of a feminine look, which is a little bit less kind of gnarly lean. And maybe that's a little bit rich coming from me, since I was too lean at the Olympia, etc. But that's the way in which I think female bodybuilding should go, in my personal opinion. So let's just see what happens, and hopefully people can stay in the sport for longer, enjoy it and love it. And I think that health's very important. That's why I want to take a bit of time away from the stage, so that I can have my period for a full year, so that I don't risk things like my fertility, etc. Because has virilization happened for me? Yeah, it has, and that's something that I knew when I was going into being an assisted bodybuilder that was going to happen. Another thing as well, I was having quite a lot of conversations this morning with the people that are on the photo shoot prep / 12-week challenge, etc. People just wanting to push the drugs. I mean, if we have, and I don't know because I've never done one before in terms of being on someone's challenge as their client, but if we've got coaches out there that for just photo shoot preps, people are just ramming people full of gear to be able to achieve a great look, that doesn't really help people in understanding that they can actually achieve a really great look naturally, which if they're not doing it for a competition, they probably should, because that's something that's much more sustainable for life. So yeah, I mean, when it comes to things like HRT, especially as people get older and they want to keep their natural hormones in a much better place for the feel-good factor of life, I think that's something that people should definitely be given the support on. There's definitely not that support really in the UK. However, I just don't think that as part of photo shoot preps or lifestyle coaching and stuff, unless somebody really has that desire to do that, that's something that you really need. So hopefully things can start to change from that side of things and improve from a health perspective for people, and so that people can actually look really great all the time, not just for a photo shoot, because that's going to keep you in a much more healthier spot, probably make you feel good week to week, year to year, except a little bit more effectively, which would obviously be really great.
My best, and I'm not even thinking about the competition. I know I can beat one, I can make.
Right, so this is meal one. As you can see, eggs and bread, as I've just said. I'm actually watching Big Think Bodybuilding, watching one of my favourite podcasts, that especially the Muscle Minds with Scott Stevenson. I think he's one of the best educators within the industry, so if you don't watch it and you enjoy stuff like that, definitely give it a watch. If you don't fancy eggs and savoury stuff, or if I didn't, I could have something sweet. Could swap my eggs to whey protein, some dark chocolate for my fat source instead of my whole eggs, or I could have some oats porridge as something sweet if that's what I fancied. Don't have to stick to this if I don't want to. There's lots of different things that can give us the same types of macros. So if you're someone who's a sweet person, or you're on your period or close to your period, maybe you want to swap it, which is absolutely not a problem. And if you've got a coach, they should be able to help you with that. So we are back for another meal, which is exciting. Lucky you. As you can tell from a lot of my meals, I have a lot of, oh, you can't see very well, colour. That is because we like to have fruits and vegetables in this household. Yes, not everybody will like them. However, if you have dieted well enough, everything starts to taste good. So don't be afraid to test a little bit of hunger levels in order to probably start to learn to like these types of things, because in my personal opinion, yes, fibre supplements and veggie supplements and stuff are all good, but they don't really trump proper food. So definitely have some good fruits and vegetables. Find some that you like, make them in a way that you like them. Super simple. It's literally just took me 2 minutes to make that meal. The things that I wanted to make a bit warm, I put them in the air fryer. My bread and my peppers and my mushrooms. The rest of my meal, so my salmon and stuff, is cold. And if I needed to eat it cold because I was at work, I would. I've spent long enough eating cold meals that I just do not care. If I make it taste decent enough, I'll just eat it. And I'd rather have this types of food than head into something like a Greg's, etc. to have some rubbish food, because as much as maybe on paper when you actually do a normal shop, it might come out as being more money, but then you think to it and break it down of when I go to the shop in the day and I get a bag of crisps or I get some chocolate, etc., or I go to the shop and I get 2 coffees a day, that all counts up. Whereas I get a £5 bag of coffee beans that lasts me about 3 months. I then use my funds on some good quality foods, and I actually probably save money for if I was to be eating out all the time. So in essence, in the long run, it actually saves you money. So I'm going to eat my meal too, and then I'm going to head back to work because we've just done work and we've got a little bit more to do to make sure that everything is boxed off, before this afternoon, and that's simply just more so replies to video clips, etc. All check-ins were done before 7:30 this morning, because I think it's good for competitors, for clients, to get everything in nice and early so that you can feel good and ready for your day. Right, so I brought myself to Starbucks to do some work. Got myself an iced decaf Americano, got myself my workbook and my laptop. I would pick up my laptop, but I'd probably drop it and break it if I did. And then obviously have my work phone with me to be able to do some work whilst I'm here, alongside just some admin stuff. Sometimes it's nice to get out of the house rather than just sitting in there all the time and working. Sometimes you get a little bit, I guess, brain dead being in one position, in my personal opinion. But it is meal time, and obviously I've brought my meals with me. Regardless of where I go, I always take my meals with me, whether I'm in competition prep or out of competition prep. I mean, even if you're a non-competitor and you go out to work, you'll save yourself some money if you actually take meal prep with you, or we can call it a packed lunch. When I was a little girl and we'd take sandwiches, it was a packed lunch, so nothing new, nothing different, nothing exciting. But we've got beef, rice, vegetables, avocado, and some simple fats. If you can tell, there's a lot of white sauce that I've used today. I only use 5 to 10 grams in each of my meals, so that it's not lots of calories. With calories, in terms of a low calorie sauce, I'd aim per 100 grams. If it was a squeezy, like reduced ketchup bottle, etc., probably per 100 grams not to have more than like 80-90 calories in there. And then if I'm using 5 or 10 calories a meal, it's not really anything additional that I'm adding. So just a simple little trick if you fancy a little bit of sauce. I don't always have it, but that's pretty much what I go with when I do. And the reason that there's a lot of the garlicky style sauce today is because I literally couldn't be bothered to get the other ones out of the cupboard. I was being lazy, so that is why there's more of that. I've got another meal with me, depending on how long I'm going to be staying out. I'm going to see if my mum is in when I go home, because she wasn't there earlier. So I'm going to go and see my mum, because I haven't seen her this week and she's not been very well. And it's always good to give back to the people that gave back to you when you were little. And because it's a rest day in Kubri's training, it gives me a chance to be able to do that once I have finished all my work and got a tick in the box with that one. Anyway, I'm going to eat my meal and turn the camera off because people are judging me by looking at me definitely doing my video, but who gives a fuck? Right, we are back home. I've eaten my other meal. I forgot to film it, I'm sorry. I'm closing the fridge because otherwise it's going to start bleeping, and that's just annoying. I've got my meal 5, which is 75 grams of oats, 40 grams of whey. I've got the chocolate honeycomb one from Train by JP. I'll show you. Use my code MEG10 to be able to get money off. Oh, this bloody thing stopped working with my face. Bloody hell. And then we've got 150 grams of berries. So I'm going to eat that. Oh, and I've got 20 grams worth of dark chocolate as well, because I like dark chocolate. So I'm going to eat that. Had avocado in my 2 other meals. Obviously a nice healthy fat for all the hormonal help that we need. So yeah, that is today's meal so far. I had a nice little 40 minutes talking to my mum. She's a lovely woman, but gosh, she's stubborn. So it was nice to chat to her. And I'm going to eat this. Going to do a little bit of extra work. Cooper's just got home from the gym, so I'm sure that we'll be watching. We've been watching Yellowstone, and that is a fantastic programme, because we have like 30 minutes before bed where we watch some telly together, so that we're actually off as phones, so that we can have a little bit of downtime and wind down before we actually go to sleep. If you're off, you get straight off your phone, try to go to bed. I never really find that I actually can sleep very well, so that's what we're doing. We've watched Yellowstone, that was fab. We've watched 1883, that was even better, that's a spin-off. And now we're watching 1923, which is another spin-off. And so far, absolutely fantastic.
And we were riding to the gym, just from my house to the gym, like it was like it's like a 10-minute ride max. We went, it's literally, like, even literally rode down like 4.
So it is the end of the night, end of the day. If you can see a tail waffling, I think you can might see it. That is Zena. Zena, are you going to say hello? Sorry. Zena, are you saying hello to people? I think it's just your tail. Oh no. Oh, sausage pants. Okay, I'm coming. Coming then. Coming. You coming? Coming? Coming to sign off? No, okay. No. That is the end of my rest day. So you've just seen my meal, which is 25 grams of oats, 75 grams of cream of rice, 45 grams of whey, and I showed you which whey. I've got that ISO caramel biscuit. That and the honeycomb for me at the moment are the ones. I think we all go through phases of different whey proteins that we're just fancying at that time. I've liked the cinnamon one, but that is only in the performance isolate rather than actual ISO protein. But that is very nice. I also just like a standard chocolate or a standard vanilla sometimes. Sometimes I'm just feeling a little bit vanilla. But yeah, those are the two flavours at the moment from Trained by JP that I'm using. Use my code McTen to get discount off. And then I also have 200 grams of berries in this meal, a mix of fresh and frozen. Why, as we've spoken about a few times, I like a little bit of variety of texture. The what's it called? The berries that are fresh are a bit softer. The berries that are frozen are a little bit less soft. They're a bit more crunchy. So, well, not crunchy, but just frozen, like little balls. If anybody remembers Solaro shots when they were little, that's what the little, I think they're just called red berries, aren't they? In the frozen berry mix, that's what they really remind me of. So that's really nice. Before bed, sometimes I have my last meal as a savoury meal, like an egg and bread meal. Sometimes I have it as this, so the cream of rice. Depends on what my appetite's feeling like. If I'm not feeling quite as hungry, I will have the eggs. If I'm having a little bit more hunger, I will have the oats. And not that I'm feeling ravenous, but I feel like I could eat the oats, feel well satiated, and go to bed. Lots of people do go to bed about an hour after they've eaten. I think if I did that, I think I'd be biting my pillow. And maybe my hunger signalling hasn't quite settled after competition prep, even though I say that it is. I mean, I am probably the least food focused, orientated person that there is. I can take it or I can leave it. Like, my day doesn't have to centre around it. If I'm going for a day out with my friends, it doesn't need to centre around foods. I guess it kind of does in that I take my meals with me, but for me, if I'm 10 minutes early or 10 minutes late for a meal because I need to navigate around things, different situations, client trips, etc., that doesn't really stress me out, and it does for most bodybuilders. Maybe it means that I'm not a good bodybuilder, who knows. But yeah, I'm not afraid to swap and change things because I know that they taste the same, or not taste the same, sorry. I know that they give me the same in terms of macros, but I'm also not someone who's like highly emotionally food driven, and I do find that that's someone that's great to be able to navigate you through your journey as a bodybuilder. I've been coached by people in the past that have been very highly food focused, and that is the only post show that went really bad for me, because I had that coach sending me like even pictures, because they were in prep, of like post show treats and post show brownies and stuff like that, which like you really don't need that from your coach. All you need to talk about with your coach is what's the plan, what's this plan after show, give me the proper support that's not from an emotionally driven place, because at the moment I'm a very emotionally driven person, because you are post show. So I think because I have that with Cuba, which is very level headed with everything, I think that's why things are just navigated really well around comp, and I feel confident in doing that with my clients because I'm not emotionally driven. I don't have issues with my food, that I can sympathise, I can support from a level of understanding, but I also don't pass off any issues to my clients through essentially keeping it as a coaching relationship. Yes, there's banter. Yes, there's back and forth. Yes, there's an element of relationship that you create with your client, but it still has to be very coach relationship, coach client relationship. It can't really blur lines. So I think food comes with a part of that, but you know, each to their own. But that's the kind of way that's worked really well for me in my bodybuilding journey that I've been really grateful for, and I definitely enjoy doing that with my clients. So I feel like I've rambled quite a lot today. I actually had a very lengthy chat with one of my clients today because she's an elder lady. We decided today that she was older. She's not old, she's in her 40s, going through a little bit of a turn that we saw with her hormones, and I said, I think we need to get the bloods done. So we did, and they weren't in the best spot, and I kind of expected it. So we've given some health supplementation with support. We've changed her diet a little bit to try and support that. We're in a diet phase at the minute. If her diet phase is getting a bit stubborn and it doesn't want to move, it's just literally because our hormones need to come back round a little bit before you push on. If you're a female who's competed back to back, season to season, you do find that you get to a point where your body hits a little bit of a wall and it needs a little bit of a break sometimes. That's why natties take so long away from stage, because they know that it's going to take a while for their hormones to rebalance before they actually then get stuck into a proper off season, pre-preps, etc., etc. Like, it's long-winded because they know it's going to have to be for the time that they're going to have to take to recover post-comp prep. Whereas sometimes when you're not a natty, people tend to rush it, and unfortunately females, you still do recover quite slowly after a comp. So you have to be very careful, both from a physiological perspective and from a mental perspective, to make sure that you can actually get yourself in a really great space. And I think a great coach can also look past whether somebody is potentially not feeling quite their best mentally or physiologically. They're probably going to be interlinked, and I saw that with that client, which is why I said to get some blood work. I've got quite a few clients working through some blood worky bits at the minute, not off the back of things that I've done with them, but past recommendations of too many different medications going in, and just trying to solve things before we go down the route of planning a little bit more in the future for bodybuilding. So it's a push and a pull type sport. Sometimes you just have to listen to the body and give it that little bit of a downtime in off season. However, if you do still want to be great as a bodybuilder within that time, you still have to stay locked in. Food, training, etc. But you've just got to give a little bit of care to your body by not hammering it with a competition prep. So is life. And that's essentially what my client said to me today. As we can tell from GDPR reasons, we are not going to use the client's name. She probably won't be bothered, but I'm not gonna. Anyway, I enjoyed this little ramble. I've been going on now for, I think it's 8 minutes. I can't see that. I'm definitely getting old, and I definitely need some glasses, and I definitely think that I look a little bit dark here. So I'm going to go inside and I'm going to eat my last meal, and then I'm going to go to bed. We watched a little bit of 1923. It's fantastic. I think that this is going to be the best one yet, but I'll keep you posted and keep you updated on it. And if any of you do watch it below, please let us know, because just don't ruin anything for me, because we watch it slowly. Because we don't have very much time in the evenings. Literally, we'll get to watch like 20 minutes worth of an episode. So people binge watch episodes and probably watch seasons within a week. Me and Kubrick takes us a year. But at least it's a little bit of downtime pre-bed to enjoy it together, and he's probably getting frustrated that I'm not sat at the table enjoying my meal with him. So I'm going to go. Peace out for now. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Let me know that you liked the vlog. Let me know if you'd like me to do different things, any questions, etc. Otherwise, I'll just keep spieling off. The next vlog I will do will be next week. However, I'm not really sure if there's anything too super exciting going on next week. I do have some clients coming to train, so maybe I'll just change my vlog day. We'll see. And then the week later, I actually go to the Netherlands yet again, but this time there is an expo there. So from a Train by GP element at the Ziggy's, I will be there promoting Train by JP. It is an NPC show. Obviously, I am an IFBB Pro, very interlinked from that perspective. So yeah, I have one of my beautiful clients, Babette, there in her first ever competition, and she looks absolutely phenomenal. One of my other clients is actually competing this coming weekend, if we can call the 18th the coming weekend, and then the weekend after she's women's physique, but because the week later is the pro qualifier, I don't want to peak her into the first one, because I don't want to peak too early. I want to make sure that she's ready for the pro qualifier. So we'll be definitely reducing down fatigue leading into that one. But she's over in Hawaii. If I could get over to Hawaii, I would do, maybe one day. I mean, I'll be doing lots of travelling for client shows, and I do try to get to at least one competition of each client. That one was a little bit far, but we will make sure that we navigate it well, because I will stay up while she's competing to make sure she's all cushy. She looks amazing. Women's physique, she looks awesome. 55 years young as well. Just phenomenal.